Hi, Alan Stratton from woodturning. For this project I want to make this sphere that is hollowed and holey. So it has multiple holes around and such. But if you look at it, if you look very closely, there's something off about this sphere. What is it? Well, it's not as round as this one. It's not as spherical as this one. Why? Well, this was turned green. Very wet wood in making the sphere on the outside, and then as I hollowed it, also green. Then it shrunk, it warped, and it's a little bit off. So, lesson learned, if you're going to make a hollow sphere, turn it rough, let it dry, and then do the interior hollowing, and it will be as perfect as this one. So, but let's turn it anyway.
I will spare you the rough cutting of this very wet Russian olive. Now the essential measures for the octagon method. 3.5 inches for the diameter and the length. 3.5 times 0.414 the octagon side length, and 3.5 times 0.293 for the distance from the end to an octagon corner. Then mark these lines on the cylinder. To start, trim the end of the cylinder, but here I take a shortcut. Instead of completely trimming the cylinder, I cut down to a tenon whose diameter equals the octagon side, both ends. Next, cut a 45-degree line from the corner line to the corner of the tenon that marks the side on the top of the cylinder. Here I have to be careful to control the spindle gouge. If the hollow is not completely closed, my gouge will skate. As long as I am careful and line up on the lines, this goes quickly. Then reduce that temporary tenon to half size, but keep enough to keep the ball spinning. Voila, this is an octagon. Now to leverage this to find the sphere that's inside. I mark to split each octagon side, then split each again. This guides me to cut each corner, making a hexagon. But not for long, as I immediately go to rounding off by eye. At this point, the sphere is far from perfect, but that is okay. Now switch to a cup faceplate. I orient the sphere so that the original equator line runs north and south. I put a drilled-out rubber stopper on the live center to press the sphere against the faceplate. The hub on the faceplate is about 1/3 of the diameter, plus or minus a lot. At first, I address the old tenons and nubs on the end. Light cuts, take them off. Then work on eliminating the ghost that shows up on the top surface. I cut gently, since the worst thing I can do is to overcut. Once I am happy, I mark a new equator line and rotate the sphere again so that this line runs north and south. Same thing again, but now be even more gentle. Scraping tends to be more gentle than cutting with a gouge. Again, mark the equator and rotate the sphere again so that the new line runs north and south. Normally at this point, I would be switching to sandpaper. However, this wood is so wet that sandpaper would clog up immediately. So I'll have to be patient and put it in a paper sack for several days to let the surface moisture dry. It will still be very wet. I'm back after about a week. Now for the rough sanding. I always start with 80 grit. I want the sandpaper to be aggressive, but now I am also using a sanding media of beeswax and mineral oil. 1/4 pound of wax to 1 pint of mineral oil. This cuts the dust and keeps the paper lubricated. Even this wet wood sands nicely. All the dust that would be in the air is captured in the wax and oil media. Just like when you're using a tool, sand and rotate. The only exception is that I do not mark the equator line. I trust my eye to do the same. Another difference is that I'll keep sanding and rotating until I like what I see. A minimum of 3 rotations, a maximum of whatever it takes. After this initial sanding, I change to finer grits and repeat the sand and rotate process. 3 rotations at each grit is all it takes. The only job now for the sandpaper is to remove the previous sanding marks. After mounting the sphere in my DIY donut chuck, I start by drilling a 3/4 inch hole, a combo guide hole and wood removal. Then continue hollowing with a couple of carbide-tipped hollowing tools. That is my first hole and hollowing. Now to back off the bolts that cinch the chuck and move the sphere to a new, somewhat random position. Same process, drill and hollow. Difference now is that the interior is more difficult to hollow due to the previous hollowing. However, some shavings come out through the previous holes. This repeats for as many holes that I want to see. The irregular interior is the biggest challenge. One benefit of using the sanding media is that the sphere is already mostly finished. Afterwards, a little pad sanding to remove any chuck marks, and it is complete. I have to confess that I was interrupted for a couple of days before that final hole. This made the last hole tough since the wood dried in the meantime and warped. When I finally took it inside to my wife for inspection, she immediately noticed the warp and objected that it was not round, but backed off when I explained that wetwood warping is inevitable. If I wanted it perfectly round and hollowed, I would have to let it dry after having been roughed out. Then it could be. No matter what, I like this wholly hollow sphere. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my website as well as on YouTube. When you subscribe to my website, my weekly notifications are more reliable than YouTube's. Please tell your friends about my weekly videos. I appreciate your comments and questions, but please wear your full face shield whenever the lathe is running. As usual, yeah, I'm nagging, but I hope to save your life or at least your eyesight. Once wood flies, not even Superman is fast enough to dodge it.